So I am back with a 1-year update on my dreads. They officially hit 1 year on October 27th. It's November 5th or November 6th today. So they're like a year and a week old. And I wanted to follow up to the video I made when they were 5 months old and definitely record my own thoughts on the process, but also I was gobbling up videos of other people's dreads and the progression and what it looked like, and trying to understand what I should do or what I might regret, or whether or not it really was as awesome as it seemed, and all of that, what maybe my hair would look like in comparison to people with other hair types. So I really find value in sharing that information for anybody who has hair more similar to mine or wants to do it similar to the way that I did, etc. So it's been a year. It's not a direct one-to-one comparison because it's not just my hair that changed. I'm also 8 months pregnant, so I've got, a whole lot of extra weight everywhere, including my face. So, dreads don't necessarily make your face look fat, but pregnancy can sometimes. So it's been a little bit hard to be like looking at the videos that I used to make and how like lean my face was, and now I'm like, yeah, it's not quite the same. It's not as bad in the right lighting, but yeah, on a daily basis I try not to blame my dreads for how fat my face looks. So just a little forewarning, my face has changed in addition to my hair. So this is what my hair looks like when I wash it out and really separate it really meticulously, and I roll everything out. I've been combing out some of the ends. I'm not sure what it is that's going on, but in a lot of the ends it's collecting something. I assume, people call it lint. I don't want to think that it's mold. I don't think that it's mold. It's got a different consistency and it like rolls out and stuff. So I assume it's just lint. But the ends were definitely, I've been combing out. I want wispy ends. I have a lot with blunt ends and they're not easy to comb out, especially the more mature ones. When I did the update of the 5 month, the most of the progress was being made in the back right of my head, and it's still the same. That part of my hair matured way faster. It just was the first to go to start dreading, and then followed by the back left side and the stuff on the top. Definitely, it doesn't really match with how I slept. It literally started one day when I wore a beanie or like a snow hat. I wore it just a couple of days, and just all of a sudden this whole back side just matted up, and I had to really meticulously sit and try to get it all to come out, and it was only that side. It was like weeks before the other side started to do that as well, and so that's been the progression. This is the hardest, or the most mature, and then this is the second. This stuff is here and there. I've got some of my most mature dreads. This is one of my, most mature. I guess it's not going to focus up close. This is a couple of my most mature dreads here on top. I don't know why though. I haven't really found any. I'm pretty good at figuring out logical explanations or figuring out what in my life, and I just can't find anything besides, that literally that day that I wore the hat, these started and that started. So I've definitely, it's pretty darn easy at this point, has been for like 6 months or something, to sort these guys in the back, the mature ones. They really just come apart. They have their own lives, and they don't really try to do anything with anybody else. They're also thicker, and I've tried to keep them all very thin. I like them thinner. I like, I don't necessarily think that I can control anything or think that I can maintain length, but I do prefer to, I like the look of dreads that have, that are thinner and longer, rather than the ones that have are thicker at the roots and then really bunch up and are thicker. some people rock it and it's amazing. This is just my hair type and what I like out of my hair. So it's definitely the hardest part is this part around the big mature dreads and the left side that's still maturing. That's the hardest part to sort now. This part as well gets really, I mean, this is the main thing, that it'll just get all matted and bunched and my hair gets really, really unruly and really crazy. Something that I began to worry, or not worry, something I began to wonder about is, you know, that effect of, you see people, you know, showing off pictures of their dreads, and like I, you know, every month post a 1 month progress picture, but I always freshly wash my hair and freshly roll it out. And part of why I want dreads is because I don't want to be maintaining my hair. And part of what I didn't like about, you know, my hair before dreads was I really didn't like how just limp and greasy and mousy my hair looked, unless I just washed it. So I had to wash my hair in order to feel like, you know, wash my hair and like maybe blow dry it or something in order to feel like I could actually go out into public and like be proud of the way that I looked or feel attractive, etc. And so the idea with the dreads is I would like, you know, one day to be pretty much just shampoo and, you know, rinse my hair and towel dry and be good to go, that I don't have to, God forbid, blow dry or curl or, you know, anything, just to feel like, you know, my hair works. So with minimal maintenance, just daily maintenance, etc., being my main motivation, I definitely can go a long time without actually doing anything to my hair. It doesn't get greasy, it just gets poofier, which I appreciate because my whole body is really big now. So if my hair was just like, you know, completely like limp and, you know, I didn't have any of this, it was just like it was before, just very mousy and small, I would definitely feel a little disproportionate. And I like, you know, the feeling that it like really is large and voluptuous. I have the thinnest hair. This gives me volume. But with pregnancy and like depression and all of that, I really don't get myself to shower very much. I mean, I literally, if I take a shower and then my plans get canceled or something, like I just get really frustrated that I showered. It takes a lot of my energy to just maintain self-care. So it's really, really advantageous to have my hair only get puffier and not like look like a bedraggled, you know, oily mouse when I haven't showered recently and all of that. I do, however, start to look pretty insane. You know, it gets bigger and bigger, and I prefer that. Out of the two directions I could go, from greasy and limp over to like, I don't get greasy. It does get really dry though. I really do prefer what it is, but I will get to a point where I feel like maybe this wasn't a good idea, you know? Like it's out of control and I don't feel very pretty, and it doesn't really hang like this. It, you know, just it gets much more matted, and it, like I said, it dries out a lot, and that causes it to just get bigger and bigger. And then, you know, something will be coming up, like a party or something that I'm going to go to, my baby shower, and I'll wash everything and then sit for, honestly, it's probably less than an hour, probably 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I will just sit and separate everything and, you know, palm roll it out, and it all just will hang more like this. And then once it does this and everything looks more like just voluptuous hair with dreads, I like it a lot better, and it makes me start to feel like, you know, remembering all those pictures that I've seen of other women and all of that, and be like, they probably don't take those pictures and show off their dreads and show off how, you know, their progress or how well they look on all the other days where they haven't just recently washed. And thinking of all the times I've seen people posting pictures on Dreadlocks groups and saying that, you know, this is wash day and, you know, everything's feeling great, etc. I feel so much better. And realizing nobody really talks about all those days in between where you're still a person and you still have to take care of yourself. And if you're not maintaining it, you know, especially, I think that once you get, you know, like a few years in, or if your hair matures faster than mine did. Mine's completely neglect. I didn't twist and rip. I didn't section it off. All I did was stop brushing and start sectioning as things matted together. So it took a long time, and I think that pulling it into smallest, the smallest sections, I try to keep them, down to a pretty small size, but, about like, Sharpie width for the section that coming from my head. And so that creates these really small dreads, and I think they just have a harder time maturing when you keep them so thin. So they still are maturing and it's still working, but I think if I had wanted to get results faster, I'm definitely feeling like if I had to start all over again, I would definitely want to try twist and rip and sectioning and starting it, because this just feels a little too chaotic for what I want in the end. One of the main things I would definitely do differently is I would comb out my ends. I would make sure that I kept wispy ends on all of my dreads. I think I invested way too much in what other people thought, and by other people I mean like the dreadlocks communities that I'm in, and wanting to be natural and go with the flow and all of that stuff. And as with everything in life, there's definitely a balance. And while I love that I did it this way and that I had this experience, I think that if I had done it some other way, I might regret it or want to know what my hair would have done on its own, that kind of thing. So I'm glad I had this experience and I did it this way. But at this point, I'm kind of, as I roll out my hair and do like the real maintenance, like once a month or whatever, whenever it feels right, I do kind of want to figure out how to pull these blunt ends out and give more wispy ends, even if it takes kind of chopping them up a little bit to get that coming out. I don't really like, it's my hair. I get to decide that, I want it to be the way that I want it to be, and I can do that if I want to. And I don't know why I let myself feel, kind of pressure that I should do it, a certain way, so that I get certain points where I fall into a certain kind of category of people who like only did it this way. I definitely had to bulk that when more people were telling me more and more that I'm not supposed to roll it out. I want to roll it out. Maybe I'll regret it, but it's my hair and that's the way that I want to do it. I like it much better when it's rolled out. It feels more like the way that I wanted my hair to look. Literally just is exactly the way that I wanted my hair to look. I thought I would be a lot further along than I am, and I can tell that sometimes rolling it out, will kind of elongate and pull out some of the blunting and the knots and the maturing, but I think long term I'll be happier with the way that my hair is turning out if I do it the way that I want to, and I don't worry about, God, what other people are gonna say or think or tell me I should have done or I shouldn't have done, or I don't quite classify as being all natural or full neglect if I roll it, and I don't know why I cared. So at this point, I have a lot of really mature dreads. I've got these guys in the back, especially on the right side. It's really easy to sort this stuff. They just come apart and they're really, really short. You can see how long my hair is now, and you can see how short these guys are, which I think is cool. Like I love the difference. There's not as much short stuff on the left, but there's definitely a lot of dreads forming on the left side and in the center and the back. I think the other thing I would have done is I didn't really pay so much attention to the fringe. I didn't let my bangs get tangled up, but when it really came down to realizing that a lot of it was getting kind of tangled up and swallowed, I really went through and, separated the fringe that I wanted to keep out. And at this point, I've seen a couple pictures of women that I really look up to, I really admire, and I love the way that their hair looks, and they kept more out, like especially at the top. Like this dread probably wouldn't be here, these guys, but they kept more out on the top, and I liked that look better. I probably, like I said, if I had to do it all over again, I would leave more at the top. but I'm pretty happy with what I have. But those are things that I would like to know, you know, how it would be different, and that I feel a preference to hair that, you know, was done that way. I've seen posts where people have said that, you know, they went through and took the blunt ends and made them wispy, and I much prefer the after pictures, you know. That's just what feels right to me. And I really expected to be a lot further along after a year. I have a lot of loose hair, and I have a lot of just, you know, barely there wispy kind of dreads that aren't anything like the big blunt guys. You know, this is technically its own dread, but it's you know, it's pretty loose. I could definitely comb that out if I wanted to pretty quickly. Where, I mean, some of these are, I can see why it would be really monstrous task to try to comb this stuff out. But luckily I don't want to. So I really do love my hair, and I really do love the experience. And this is what my hair looks like at a year. Very thin hair, very dry hair. And like I said before, the dreads, it would get really greasy. It doesn't get greasy at all anymore. I shower maybe once a week or so. The only thing I have to worry about is drying out. If I'm not conditioning it, it won't dread. It won't continue to lock up. So I have to keep it well conditioned. I use Moroccan oil, just pure Moroccan oil, which is pretty expensive. Just a couple pumps, and I just weave it through everything and smear it around, especially on the ends, and try to keep the ends healthy and alive. They were the main reason that I wanted to do this, because my hair gets so broken down at the ends that it tangles, and then I can't keep it untangled without a lot of work. And then the more that I work at it to keep it untangled, it breaks and just does more damage. And I was just constantly having to trim and trim and trim, and I couldn't get it to grow out. At one point I just like chopped it all off, thinking like, okay, I was getting rid of all this damage and it would grow out. But it really, as soon as it starts hitting my shoulders and it's at the back of my head, it would just be brittle. And this was my way of saying, also, you know, postpartum, I was afraid I'd lose a lot of hair. So this is my way of maintaining and trying to create some kind of volume. If my hair falls out postpartum, I'm not going to get handfuls of hair that wash down the drain in the shower. I'm going to get, nothing is really going to change, you know, maybe thinner roots to my dreads, but the volume is going to stay. Everything that's going to fall out is going to be locked into dreads. So I'm really happy with it. I really love the progress that I've made. Really proud of myself for sticking through it. I really knew that when I got pregnant, there was a high likelihood that I might feel differently about it. I just absolutely loved my dreads, and then I've seen women talk about how they combed it all out when they got pregnant, and then they regretted it when they were postpartum and had no idea, you know, why they had done that, or they had an idea and they didn't feel that way at all anymore and wish they had their dreads back. But I definitely noticed that with pregnancy came this weird desire to run my hands through my hair, to feel my hair being soft. Definitely an aversion to, you know, the clumpy knotted dreads and, you know, those kinds of things. And it was very interesting to watch because I don't feel that way normally. So it was interesting to see that it really did kind of change something for me. And I don't know what you would call that, but I didn't give a second thought to any kind of impulse to comb it out and start over, etc. I did, you know, make sure that I had plenty of fringe in the front, and it definitely feels much better like this when I've washed and rolled it out, and it's, you know, as long as it is and softer. My hair will never be super soft. Maybe it will one day. Maybe I'll find the magic secret, but it's pretty dry and thin and brittle. But this to me is the best way for that. You know, if I had just a normal hairstyle or tried to do curls or, you know, anything like that, it would definitely impair that to have such dry, brittle hair, which has been my life. So now I've got all of this body and all of this volume, and it balances out with the rest of me being all huge and round and puffy, my arms and everything, gaining a lot of weight everywhere. So I'm really grateful that I chose to do this and that my hair is growing with me, and not leaving me just huge. And you know, it's like when you decide it would be really cute to cut your hair and have a really cute pixie cut or something, and you don't realize that like you're really overweight, and it's just really not that cute to have just your, you know, really overweight face fully out there and exposed, and you miss kind of hiding a little bit behind all your hair. So anyway, that's my 1 year update. This is what my hair looks like. I love it. And it does take maintenance, and it doesn't always look this pretty. It looks this pretty like 1/5 of the time, and the rest of the time I look a little bit insane, and I prefer that over, you know, just looking filthy. So I'm all good. Well, there you go. 1 year. God, I thought that by the time this baby came, it would be, I wouldn't really be having to maintain it or separate it or anything, that all these dreads would have figured themselves out, but that is not the way that it went. Probably my fault, or just the type of, you know, hair that I have, but probably going to be on a lot slower progression than most women. But I'm sure by the time I hit like 4 years or whatever, that, you know, they'll be all done, and I'm not going to be sorting or needing to roll them out or anything. They'll have figured themselves out. Just, you know, rare maintenance or whatever here and there. I don't know. I have no idea. But that's my update. This is where I'm at. 8 months pregnant, 1 year with dreads. Pretty cool. I approve.